gentlemen, welcome to the main event.
Let's get ready to rumble! This one by Mattingly. Oh, hang on to the roof. Montana looking, throwing in the end zone. 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Little roller up along first. Behind the man. It gets through Buckner. Here comes Knight and the Mets win it.
Yes, welcome back. It is Sports and Sorts, episode 187. It is a Monday morning at around 10-ish, 10:13 to be exact. And we go live every Monday and Fridays around 10-ish. And if we don't, and we decide to change, then you should go ahead and hit that notification bell, subscribe to our channel, and you will be notified whenever we go live. So that is the solution for that. And then you can also, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. You can find Sports and Sorts anywhere podcasts are played. And you can also find all our social media on our website, which is www.sportsandsorts.libsyn.com. I am one of your hosts. My name is Shane Moore.
And I'm the Brian Man, and I'm all thumbs.
Yes, you are. And hopefully my audio is a little better today.
We know mine's not.
Yeah, yours is, you always got that feedback in the background, and I'm not really sure what it is, but we're going to figure it out soon. If you didn't live 17 days away from me, 3 fortnights, if you didn't live that far away from me, I would be there more often, but to try and remedy the solution,
Right.
but I don't. So I have to travel across many, many mountains, many hills,
Across the plains,
several valleys,
fields.
travel across the Indian Ocean to get to you
Take the Oregon Trail and
and die of
Very
dysentery.
right dysentery.
So if you want to comment during the show, we will put it up on the screen. And today we're going to be talking, obviously, Red Sox versus Yankees just happened in New York. It was glorious for Yankees fans for the most part. And we will also talk the NBA Finals. We have some possible signings that are going to happen soon because now there is no more penalties for signing these two gentlemen with the last name that starts with K. That is Kimbrell and Keuchel, and we're going to be talking about that. Maybe give you our opinions on where we think they might go. So today, we got a great show. Let's go.
You are listening to Sports and Sorts with Shane and the Bry Man.
All right, I think we should start off with... It's and then we'll get into the Yankees, because, I mean, we have several things that we're going to talk about, with not just the Yankees and the Red Sox, but we're also going to be talking about the signings that could possibly happen. I know that Dallas Keuchel was looked at by the Yankees. He's also looked at by a lot of teams, as he should be. Kimbrell, there is, a lot of people that... There's a lot of teams that could use a good, solid closer. But we're going to talk NBA first. NBA Finals. Warriors tied it up. This is a typical game by the Golden State Warriors where, they're down a little bit or around tied going into the third quarter. They come out on fire in the third quarter. Now, I don't know how they do this, but they do it on the regular. This is like their MO. They come out and they just blow people out of the water in the third quarter. And that's because I don't know if most teams, I don't know what their halftime routine is for the Golden State Warriors. But most teams come out and they're a little apprehensive, a little cautious. They also, for some reason, get a little lazy on defense. And the Golden State Warriors just come out and take full advantage of that. And it happens all the time. They came out and had 18 straight unanswered points in the third quarter against, what seemed to be tired Raptors team. And this is after halftime. You shouldn't be tired after halftime. Halftime is not that's the time when you rest. You don't come out and be confused and tired and unmotivated. you've kind of lost a big lead that you had, and now the Warriors have kind of pulled to within striking distance, and then they come out and just absolutely demolish you. And the Raptors just seem to go from confident on defense in game 1 to confused and lazy on defense in game 2. And you have to be on top of your defensive game in order to hang with this team. Doesn't matter how good your offense is, because if your offense is on fire but you're not playing good defense, ask the Houston Rockets what happens. That's what happens when your defense is kind of lazy. You're going to get beaten by this team. You just can't outscore this team if you're not going to play defense. And the other side of things is, and I will get to it in a little bit. Klay Thompson injured his hamstring. That's a big deal for this team. They need him as a defender. They forget just the 3-point stuff and the scoring. They need him as a defender because he is a lockdown defender. He's one of the best defenders in the league. And they need him on defense. Now, he says it's not a big deal. Yeah. If you watched him come out of the game, it seemed like a big deal. He could not put pressure on that leg at all. He was really limping out of the stadium. Now, you know what? I'll play the little clip here that I have pulled up. This is from Steve Kerr after the game.
We want to see if there's any new information on Klay and Kevon with their injuries.
Not really. Klay said he'll be fine, but Klay could be half dead, and he'd say he'd be. So we'll see. He pulled his hamstring. He thinks it's minor. So I don't know what that means going forward. And Loon.
So that's what he said. I mean, for strains and pulls, I strained my calf months ago. I was able to continue to working out and stuff like that. It was like probably a grade 1 strain. Now, I am older and not a professional athlete, but I strained my calf months ago, continued to work out. Then I had, obviously, the vasectomy that I've talked about several times. And I was like, good time for me to just take some time off from working out, let my calf kind of heal up, and not doing any workout. Well, it's been a month. I have not really worked out. I played some golf. I have walked a little. I have swam, but I haven't done anything crazy. My calf still bothers me. Yeah. It's a little bit better, but it still bothers me. So these hamstring pulls and obviously they thought Kevin Durant was only going to miss 3 games originally. He hasn't played. He didn't play all last series, and he hasn't played the first 2 games this. So I don't believe anything that the Warriors say. Anything. Yeah. Because every time they say something, it's always like, oh, yeah, he might play. There's a chance.
Oh, the players are always going to say that stuff.
Yeah, but they are very dishonest when it comes to that stuff. They're very... Yeah. And you don't know which way it's going. You don't know if he will actually come back next game and rain 9 threes. Like, he could do that.
But Kerr was honest about it. And he was like, well, that Klay could be dying, and he'd say he's fine. Good to go.
Right.
So I don't put a lot of stock in anything players say when it comes to injuries, because the player's mentality, and rightfully so, is to I want to be on the field.
Right.
1, because they're competitive. 2, because you never want to lose your spot. Yes. In the case of a guy like Klay Thompson, you wouldn't have to worry about losing his spot to anybody, but certainly not on a long-term basis. But look, he wants to be there. He wants to be. I think the last thing, when you get to this point in the season where you are now 3 games away, both of these teams, from claiming a championship. Nobody wants to be on the shelf for those 3 games, or any of them. You want to be out there. You want to do your part. You want to make, because I don't. If it were me, if I were Klay Thompson, and there were only 3 games left to play, and Golden State won, but I couldn't play any of those last 3 games, I would not actually, regardless of what I did in the regular season, contributing to the team in the playoffs throughout, I would feel like, I didn't really earn this ring. I mean, and that's not fair, because he certainly would have, but I can understand from a player's perspective, I want to be out there at all times. I get that. So let me just give my quick assessment of where I think the series is at. I think it's over. I said the other day I believed that Toronto needed to win both games at home to really, truly put some kind of pressure on this Golden State team, which is not, frankly, accustomed to having a lot of pressure on them. They're not very often in elimination games. I mean, the more recent one that I can think of that they were, and they did lose, which was to Cleveland in Game 7, in a series that they were up 3-1. But I really felt like Toronto had to win both games. Now, look, I mean, Toronto could absolutely prove me wrong here if they can go in and steal one from Golden State and take back home court. But they have now lost home court. And that's why I didn't get too excited about the Raptors winning Game 1, because I was like, okay, that's step 1, but you have to win Game 2. You have to. You have to go back to Golden State and know that that team has to win both games just to tie you going back to Toronto for a game, for what would be a Game 5. And that didn't happen. And, Golden State, like you said, in the third quarter, they came out, they imposed their will. And I think the reason why that happened is, look, it comes down to a couple things. Killer instinct and experience. That team knew, okay, we pulled this to within 5 points at halftime. Let's go out in the third quarter and send a message. Let's hit them. Let's clock them right in the jaw, and let's see how they recover from it. And they did not. Toronto could not pick themselves up off the mat. And Golden State kind of imposed their will, kept hitting shots. Toronto, and I was watching a lot of this game too. In Toronto, both teams went through some really ugly cold spells. They were just missing shots. Like, it was just shots are just bouncing off the rim, defensive rebounds everywhere, and then, next trip down the court, another brick.
At the very end of the game, it was like 3 minutes. Nobody scored for 3 minutes.
It's crazy. It was like Habitat for Humanity out there building houses with these bricks, because it was just awful. I mean, like that third quarter.
Joke?
Some of that one,
like that dad joke.
Yeah, right. Some of that was really tough to watch. But the Warriors did what I am not surprised to see them do on a regular basis. They know they've been in so many of these games.
Yeah.
They know when to apply pressure and when to take their foot off the pedal, when to, maybe try and take a breather. This team knows when to do damage, and they did it at the right time last night. And Toronto, with all of its inexperience at this point in the season, did not know what to do.
Yeah.
And you saw the result. And now I believe the series is now over, because I just don't see Toronto going into Golden State and winning either of those. Now, I would love for them to prove me wrong, but I don't see it.
But what if Klay doesn't play?
Look, Durant hasn't played, and they keep finding ways.
Yeah, but you can only get the depth is like, right? Who's going to replace Klay Thompson?
I will say this: if it had been in Toronto, if they were in Toronto, and they had to, and you were asking Toronto to win a game where Durant and Klay were not going to play, I would actually probably say, okay, they're going to win. They'll win because, one, they're at home, so they'll have the crowd behind them. They'll be jacked up, and you'll have two of Golden State's best players out. But, I don't know. Golden State at home, I still think they find a way to win both these. I think they find a way to win both these games regardless of, look, if Steph Curry goes out and then all of a sudden, like you're missing three guys, okay, fine. But I don't know. I just think Golden State is good enough to sustain, actually, this for a couple of games. I really do.
Interesting.
I don't know. I don't know how bad Thompson's hurt too. That's the other thing. You've got him saying one thing. Yeah. You've got Kerr kind of saying another.
He got injured. I think it was last year too. He hurt his ankle, or maybe in the year before, and he ended up coming back and playing the next game. He wasn't. He was okay. He was good enough though to help him out. And
I did see him hobbling off the court. It didn't look great, but I don't know. He's going to have a day off. They're going to be working that hammy for the next couple days. I feel like he'll be playing. I feel like he'll play.
If I was the Raptors, I would be gunning at Klay Thompson and making him cut as much as possible, if that's the case.
Without doubt.
A lot of these teams, a lot of these teams don't have the killer instinct though, and they won't do that. The Yankees were one of those teams who didn't have the killer instinct and didn't do that against Schilling, who was destroying them with the bloody sock. So they did not bunt on him, and they should have. They should have quite a bit. A lot of teams don't take advantage of what the other team is giving you, and if you have a guy out there that has a possible injury, I'm sorry. You have to take advantage of that. He shouldn't be playing if there's a chance he can get hurt. That's on him, not on you. That's on him. And the whole thing, and the other thing that drives me crazy is if there's one guy that you're not going to want to leave wide open in any shot at any point in the game, particularly towards the end, it's Andre Iguodala. You don't want to leave him wide open. And they did that multiple times where he had time to not only get ready and set, he was boom, double set and then whoop, and he just rained it. And you cannot do that. I had somebody said it might have been Jalen Rose or one of those guys last night was a modern day Robert Horry. Relax with that because Robert Horry did it with multiple teams and he did it all the time. It seemed like it was every other game he was raining a game-winning bucket. But
isn't Robert Horry with 2 championships each for 3 different teams?
He's got 10 rings. I mean, dude's he's got
I think he's got 6, right? 2 with the Spurs, 2 with the Rockets, and 2 with the Lakers.
Yeah, at least I would say.
Does that sound right?
He might have more. He might have more.
I'll look it up while you're talking.
All right. So the Andre Iguodala is a clutch player. You can't leave him wide open, and they did. And there was several times yesterday. I'm not sure what's going on with Kawhi either. There was several times where he was a little lazy on defense. He let players just go by him, just by putting his hands up in the air and just kind of lollygagging, as some people like to say, like myself. And then you also had there was even on that last play, he went to go for a steal, he just barely missed it. Steph Curry he really almost lost the game for them with that pass. And he passed it. Kawhi just missed it, was there a step late. And then Andre Iguodala was wide open for that 3 that just basically clinched it.
By the way, I was close. Horry has 7, and he does have 2 each with each team, but he's got 3 with it. He has 3 with the Lakers.
Oh, okay.
So he's off by 1 with the Lakers.
All right. So, and then the other thing that I wanted to kind of just touch base with you on about this is Draymond Green. He's been playing well. I mean, he has been. I mean, he had a triple-double last game, which I say is a kind of he didn't play great. I mean, it wasn't a 10-10 and 10 or whatever it was, 10-10 and 11. That is good for him, but it's not I don't think it's a dominant performance, but it's well-rounded for sure. I think I'm rooting against the Warriors basically for my dislike of Draymond Green. The dude, I mean, even the way he dribbles the ball, it's angry. He dribbles the ball angrily, and it's kind of annoying. Everything that this guy does is just so it just gets under my skin. Is there a more unlikable guy in the NBA?
Oh, I don't think so. No, I think that's a slam dunk.
Who would you say in the last 30 years is this unlikable besides Bill Laimbeer?
The only other guy,
besides Bill Laimbeer.
Oh, you're talking going back.
30 years.
I just thought you were talking about currently.
No, 30 years. I can't even think of anybody that's even close to this unlikable. I mean, obviously, Golden State Warriors fans probably love him.
Off the top of my head, no. I mean, a lot of people probably would have said stuff like this about Rodman, but Rodman was.
Everybody thought he was kind of a kook too, though.
It's a character. It's a little different, and I don't think anybody ever thought
he's always coming out with different dyed hair and
and I don't think anyone ever thought he was dirty.
They thought he was mentally unstable.
He was kind of a flopper.
Yeah, he's mentally unstable.
He is mentally unstable.
Yeah.
And I think it's very telling the fact that he is actually our
ambassador
he's our ambassador with North Korea. So what does that tell him? I mean,
our unofficial ambassador.
If you had been given a list of 10. Let's make it more interesting. If you've been given a list of about 10 million guys, okay, and Dennis Rodman was on that list of people who you thought after his career, after his regular working job would be an ambassador to North Korea, Dennis Rodman would have been 10 millionth on that list. He would have literally been the last guy on the list, and yet here we are, and that's Trump's America. But also. No, I never hated Rodman either, though. Also, Rodman was a Spur for a while, so and I liked him a lot then because he really did bring such a dimension to the game. I don't think so. I think Laimbeer is probably the closest.
I mean, no, Bill Laimbeer is the number one most hated player of all time.
Yeah,
Draymond Green's he's coming on a close second, though.
There is one guy that I absolutely can't stand that plays right now, who's also kind of a dirty flopper. What's his name? Pachulia?
Oh God, Jaja.
Jaja Pachulia, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He played for the for the Warriors for a little while.
He's an unlikable punk.
Yeah.
And then there's that other who was the really dirty dude that played with Duke, and now he's in the NBA?
Dick Grayson.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Whatever. Yeah. Whatever.
You call him?
Yeah, Dick Grayson. Right?
You got Dick Grayson.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a kind of a punk too, but
yeah.
I mean, Draymond Green has probably got to be the runaway winner. I mean, I can't think of anybody else.
Yeah. All right. So, I mean, as far as this series goes, I mean, you think that basically this is the Warriors? They got this in the bag. It's like not even. You might not even watch it. Like that's how.
Oh
how
no!
much it's over?
I mean, I'll watch. I mean, look, as of right now, it's still 1-1.
Yeah.
I'd like to think I'll watch. At least if Game 3 turns out to be what I think it's going to be, which is a complete blowout, that I may skip at that point and just. If
they get blown out after that, that'd be sad. That'd be really bad. That would be very disappointing because it all depends. I need to follow this injury because I think it's huge. Right. I think if Clay is out and Durant's out, I wouldn't be surprised if the Warriors get blown out.
Well, if Clay is out and Durant is out, and they lose that game, even if it's not a blowout, then this thing is completely cooked. Yeah. Their goose is cooked.
I wonder if Durant has been kind of held 80% or something like that, and they're just holding him out because they haven't needed him yet. And now all of a sudden, Clay's out, Durant, we're ready. We need you now. Sorry.
Yeah, we need the points.
Yeah.
Right.
Somebody's got to score 25 for him.
Right, because if you do lose both of them, you are obviously losing a combined, between the two of them, at least 50 points.
Oh, yeah.
Because Durant averages about 30, and
Clay's in the low to mid-20s always.
Right.
At worst case scenario, he's 15 to 18.
In a worst case scenario, you're losing 50 points. If you're in a best case scenario, you're losing 60 to 65 points.
Yeah. But I mean, most importantly for this is that not only are you losing those points, but you're losing two solid defenders.
Sure.
Durant is he's gotten better as a defender, and he is long, and he's another guy that you have to shoot over. That's 7 feet tall. Right. And then Klay Thompson is always in the top for defenders in the league. He is a shutdown guy. That's what I can't say a shutdown because obviously there's certain guys you just can't shut down, but he's going to get put on a lot of those guys. That's how good of a defender he is. He's going to get put on Kawhi from time to time to try and shut him down. He's just that good of a defender. So,
if it's a really bad hammy injury and his defense is stunted,
even if it's nagging, a little nagging, that's going to be because I don't know if it's actually more beneficial. I would be interesting to see if anybody else finds this out. If he's 70% or 60%, is it more beneficial for him to rest and wait a game, or go out there and play and possibly re-injure it and be out for the rest of the series, and also getting taken to town because. If he goes up against Kawhi or any other, they probably wouldn't put him on Kawhi if he's injured. They'd probably put him on somebody else. But if I was the Raptors, I'd be trying to make that switch happen and get on him. So this way you could make him possibly re-aggravate that and get him out of the game, because he's out of the game, you have a better chance of winning. So I don't know. It'd be very interesting to see how the Raptors come and attack Game 3. I think that no matter what, if Durant is in or Klay Thompson, you need to attack both of those guys. I would have gone after Iguodala quite a bit, see if he can possibly, if that right calf, I think it was, would bother him a little bit. But, he came out and he played pretty well. It's a very interesting, there's a lot of things that are up in the air right now, and we won't really know what's going to happen until game day, because the Warriors aren't going to release anything. They're just going to keep saying a bunch of ambiguous stuff. And then you're going to have Klay Thompson, who's going to be like, I think I'm going to play. I'm going to play. I should be good to go. I'm going to be good to go. But then he'll be like, but it's a game time decision. It'll be one of those things that the Raptors just need to plan on, whoever we're playing. If Klay's in the game, Durant's in the game, we need to attack them and make them work.
Sure.
And see what happens. Because that's really your only option. Because if they're playing at full health, if Klay and Durant are on the course, you're done. I'm sorry. At that point in time, you might be done. They haven't played together for a little while, and the Warriors have, when they have gotten back and healthy after being injured, having Durant miss a lot of time. When they've come back, They do have a period of 5 to 7, 8, 10 games where they kind of have to work and get back in sync. But as of right now, so that could be an issue, but I just think in the finals it won't be. So I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens. But I still think it's kind of a coin flip. I'm expecting this game to go at least 6, this series to go at least 6, and I'm hoping that the Raptors can really push this team and make it really exciting. So
I still think it's 6 too, because I'm sticking by what I said the other day. I think that I thought there would be a split in Toronto. I think Golden State gets both in Golden State. I think Toronto shows a little bit of life and a little bit of heart and punches back in Game 5, and then Golden State closes out.
It'll be really disappointing. It'll be really disappointing if Raptors don't get 1 in Golden State this time around. So
hey, if they get 1 in Golden State, all bets are off. At that point, they get 1. At that point, you got to be like, okay, now this is completely unexpected. Now you're looking at maybe a 7-game series.
Yeah, and I will say Boogie played pretty well yesterday. He
certainly was more of a presence than he was in game 1.
and that's something that. But he also showed his temper and got a technical, an important technical that he should not have gotten, and that really helped the Raptors get back in the game. So they need to keep his ego.
That
in
was
check
late
a
in the
bit.
game, right? In the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
When Clyde,
but that put them right back into the game. Like
well, it
the
gave him
Raptors,
3 points,
right?
Because he had the tech and the 2 free throws.
Yeah.
And then
So,
they pulled it within 5, I think, right?
Within was it?
I think they pulled it within 5.
It was within 3, I think.
I thought it was 106, 101 after that. But.
It was. They might have been within 2. It was 105, 103 or something like that. 106, 102, 104. Or so. It was something really close. And then Iguodala came down to rain to 3, and that was over.
Right.
So, all right. All right. Let's move on. Let's get on to the next topic, which will be let's try that again. There we go. That worked that time. State of the Yankees. We were talking a little bit Yankees and Red Sox here, of course, because they played each other. They had a 4-game series. One got rained out, so now they had a 3-game series. Yankees won 2 of 3. Yankees won 4 of 6 this week, so they're 4-2 this week. That was a good week. Can't complain about that.
Win series.
Yeah, winning series. That's all you can ask for. They're playing well. They had 39 wins on the season, I think it is. The Red Sox series was good until Sunday when Red Thunder turned into Red Blunder.
You've been sitting on that one for a few hours.
Yeah, I have been actually. So still, it was a good week. I mean, Voit has been hot. He's batting .364. In the last week, he's batting .364, a .440 on-base percentage with 2 home runs. You have Torres, who's been raking .318. He got another home run. I do want to talk about him a little bit. I did go into a little bit more in-depth analysis. We had talked about him last week about how he's been performing pretty well at shortstop. I ran the numbers. He's actually playing very poorly at shortstop. But Sanchez had another good week with, I think he had 3 home runs this week. He's up to league leading 18.
And the big one Saturday night.
And he's got 18 now. He's leading the league. DJ LeMahieu slowed down a little bit with the hit parade, but he also still, he's batting .269 over the last week, but he had 2 bombs. Which is, also helps. I mean, it's not necessarily the way you want the team to go. You don't want them all swinging for the fences, but, he's going to run into some from time to time.
Sure.
But the bad part is Frazier. He's over the last week, he's leading the team in Ks. And the blunders in the outfield are pretty bad. I mean, nobody thought that he was Torrey Hunter out there, but this is really bad. I mean, he has 3 errors in the outfield this year.
I have a theory.
The outfield, and that's in 41 games. And you know how bad we say Luke Voit is at first? Yeah. He's got 4, and he's played, I think, like 80 more innings than Clint Frazier. And Clint Frazier is in the outfield, and he's got 3 errors already.
I got a solid conspiracy theory on this. Frazier is 100% doing this on purpose to avoid getting traded, because right now the Giants are scouting him heavily, or at least they were last week, because obviously the Yankees, look, no secret here, the Yankees are going to be targeting a pitcher.
Yeah.
trade deadline. And there's no doubt that the pitcher at the top of that list for them has to be Madison Bumgarner.
Who isn't pitching well this year.
He's
got a 4 ERA.
I've been talking to my brother a lot, and actually I think it's better than the numbers indicate. Because my brother's been watching, because my brother has...
I have him on my fantasy teams, and it's not been great.
Yeah, but I mean, unless you're watching him, though, I don't think it's quite... I understand. I saw the numbers. I know he's like 3-4 with a 4 something ERA. I get it.
4.01, I think, the last time.
I get it. But here's the other thing I'll say about Madison Bumgarner. He's still only 29, okay? If you want to look back at trades, comparable
It's that arm injury. That's the only thing that worries me, is the arm injury that happened with the motorcycle accident. That is the thing that worries me, because he hasn't been really the same since. So that's the only thing that worries me.
Going on what my brother said, though, he's like, you know what, though? He's like, because my brother's been, like I said, he's got the MLB package there, so he watches a lot of Giants games. Plus, my nephew, my brother's son, is a Giants fan, so they'll watch a lot of Giants games, and they like to watch, they like to watch Mad Bum. My brother's kind of been like scouting Mad Bum, and he's like,
why wouldn't you want to watch Mad Bum?
He's like, it's not as bad as the numbers look. He's like, he's still. The one thing that he still ultimately has, even if the zip isn't quite there on the fast, not that his fastball is really the thing that he needs so much, but the thing with him is he still has kind of that grit and that guile and that ability to get out of innings if he gets himself into trouble.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing to remember too. He's still only 29. Okay. I refuse to think that guy's done yet. Do I think he'll ever be the guy that helped the Giants build that dynasty and, beat the Royals and win 3 championships? Probably not. But can he come close to being his former self? I think there's a very good chance, given his age, and given the fact that if he gets put into a pennant race, then I think you will start to see. I think the real Mad Bum will stand up because I just think he's that kind of guy. I mean, and I have I think a little bit of maybe standard setters for that when you look at guys like Verlander and Cole Hamels, who were both traded at far more advanced ages than 29. I think a lot of people thought they were done, and both of those guys got into situations where they were on competitive teams and they bloomed. They became the guys that they were again. And in the case of Justin Verlander, he has not only become the guy he was, he's a better version of the guy he was. And he's going to win another Cy Young Award this year. Like, you can bank on that. That's going to happen. That dude is unbelievable. I don't know what they're doing in Houston. I don't know what's in the water. I don't know if the guy's juicing. I don't know what's going on. But Justin Verlander is, and I mean this, he is better than he ever was in Detroit. I don't even know if it's up for debate. He's that good. Cole Hamels got traded last year, when he was, toiling away in Texas, gets traded to the Cubs, gets pushed into a pennant race, and pitches brilliantly for them. So there is, now look, all these guys are different, right? That's not like it's just going to automatically happen because it's because Mad Bum gets traded to a contender and all of a sudden he reverts back to his prior form. But there is obviously something to be said for pitchers who were once great, kind of go through a lull, get traded into a pennant race situation, and they regain their old form. There is something to be said for it. And I think Mad Bum, given everything we know about him and the kind of guy that he is, that sort of gritty, gutty, that guile pitcher that he is, I think it stands to reason there's a good chance he could return to form. I want to get back to Frazier, though. Frazier might be doing this on purpose to avoid a trade. He really might be. Because I think he wants to stay on the Yankees. I can't say that I blame him. I mean, but let's be honest, he's not dumb. He knows he's being scouted. And everything that this guy is doing, suddenly striking out, the really, really bad play in the field, and then last night, the straw that broke the camel's back for me, and I say this all the time, and I spent years on Facebook giving Patriot fans as much crap as I could about this, but Clint Frazier would not talk to the media last night and would not be accountable for what he did on the field last night. And that, in my book, is a humongous no-no. And when you know how I am. Like, this is the thing, I gave Patriots crap for years and years on social media. Be accountable. Just be accountable. Just say, yeah, you know what, my team cheated. It sucks, but I got 6 rings. I don't care. All right, fine. Clint Frazier, you go out there, you boot the ball. He made three really, two really bad plays. One play
error.
that was like, one
error and two just horrible plays.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to give him too much crap on the diving play, although again, I mean, I get it.
Diving play is fine. It wasn't good, but it was fine. If you took all the other ones out, if you took all the other errors out, all the mental error and all that, just the bad plays out, that if it was just that, that's fine.
That in and of itself,
I can be fine with that.
It just got compounded because that was,
Yeah.
But then the third one where he just looked like he was a mental halfway out in the outfield trying to figure out where that ball was going to land, and it like gets by him, and then he's like chasing it down the line, down the right field line. I'm like, what the heck is God?
Yeah.
What is going on? He's got to be doing this on purpose.
What? I can't say that he's doing it on purpose. I mean, I think if anything, I would say maybe the nerves are getting to him. I wouldn't say that he's doing it on purpose because I would.
But
yeah, I know. But like, I would say that if anything, he might be nervous that he's on the trading block, and he might be gone, and that's what's making him press and making him make bad decisions. That is an issue going forward. I'd be very terrified of him coming up in big spots in the playoffs if that's the case.
Well, no matter what, he's hurting his value. I mean, I know the Giants desperately need an everyday outfielder, like worse than any team.
A good young outfielder, yeah.
Yeah, but honestly, this is not going to help his value. But again, getting back to that, man, you have to face the music after a game like that. You cannot go to Jason Zillow and say, I'm not going to answer questions for the media tonight. No, you have to face the media after that. And you got to look at the camera and say,
maybe he's trying to get out of New York.
I don't know. I don't know what he's trying to do. But if he's trying to get out of New York, play well. That'll get you out of New York if you want to get out, because you'll get traded. You'll get traded for either Mad Max or for Mad Bum. Some mad guy's coming back in return for you if you're playing well. That's the bottom line. There's no question about it. By the way, Mad Max's price tag just went up again after that 15 strikeout performance he had the other night.
Well, I mean, could it be any higher? I mean, the dude's just...
Between the two, look, either way, we talk about this all the time on like the Yankees text group. If the Yankees are going to make a trade for a pitcher, you need to be prepared for the fact that it's going to hurt. The trade is going to hurt because the Yankees are going to lose somebody.
They could trade. They could trade everybody in the farm system. Everybody. I don't care if they don't have teams to field in AAA, AA, and Single A, and they get Mad Max or Mad Bum. I would be like, bye.
Well, but for me, I'm sure you're fine with it. I, for obvious reasons, because I like Clint Frazier so much, if he is traded, that's going to hurt me. It may not hurt you, but that's going to hurt me.
There is not anybody that is, because no matter how good Clint Frazier is, there's no way that he's going to be a guaranteed Hall of Famer. And Mad Max and Mad Bum are on their way to being Hall of Famers. Not Clint Frazier. Clint Frazier is on his way to being a bumbling outfielder with a good bat, with great bat speed. I mean...
I'm not
Mad
ready to say that.
Mad Max that's different. That's next level.
I am in line with Mark Teixeira's feeling on this, which is that when he was asked point blank, would you trade Clint Frazier for any of these pitchers? And his response was, nope. And he said the reason why is because he looks at Clint Frazier and he sees a perennial all-star. I do too. Because I don't think you can teach bat speed like that. It really
bat speed isn't that important.
I think it's one of the reasons why
having the fastest bat speed is not that important.
No, but I think it contributes to why he's a good player. I mean, why he's a good hitter. The guy can clearly hit. Hold on a second. You can't say bat speed's not important because
it's not that important.
Well, but it's certainly important in some respects because bat speed allows you to maybe catch up to balls that you wouldn't normally catch up to. And in a
but your bat speed is only going to dwindle as time goes on. So is he going to be horrible when his bat speed slows down a little bit?
I mean, are we really look, Yankee fans aren't thinking that. Yankee fans are thinking about like.
And plus, the dude's been injured every year. Like
he has definitely had
every single year. He's getting injured for extended periods.
But you're also you have to admit though, by saying all these bad things about him, you're also saying that his trade value really isn't there.
For me, I wouldn't, but I would be happy to get Mad Bum in return for him.
Question: who do you think if Clint Frazier is not the guy that's going to be the centerpiece of this deal for you?
I'm not saying he won't be. It's fine if a lot of teams really value. A lot of teams. I don't care who they trade.
But I'm asking you, who on this roster could they get, or in the minors, is going to be the centerpiece of the deal that's going to get one of those guys.
My opinion on his bat speed and his injury, it doesn't matter. It's what other teams feel. Like, I always say this in fantasy baseball. Like, I'm going to trade you as crappy of players as I can to get the players I want. It's up to you to decide whether you want to take that deal or not. Like, it's their opinion of Clint Frazier. Like, oh, maybe with us he won't get injured. Oh, maybe with us he's got this tremendous bat speed. Maybe with us he won't play better in the outfield. Like, he's a good player, but he's not, in my opinion, ever going to be a Hall of Fame player. I think he's going to be a decent to good player for a long period of time. I think he might be an all-star 3, maybe 4 times in his career. I don't see him being a perennial all-star. I think he's a good player. I don't think he's a great player. That's what I think about Clint Frazier. Now, would I rather have Mad Max or Mad Bum? Yeah. I would also have no problem throwing in a couple more players to get one of those guys, because I don't value prospects as much as I do as proven talent in the major leagues, because we have seen it time and time again where these proven guys come out. They just can't miss guys, can't come out and don't perform when it comes to the big show. That just happens over and over and over again. It is like, maybe a 10% chance that these can't miss guys actually work out. I would rather have guys who weren't drafted 1st overall but end up being a great player in the MLB because they figured out, like Robinson Cano. When they first brought him up, they were like, oh, he's going to be a decent player. Like, he's all right. But he went on a tear for a extended period of time, leading the league in hits, like over the course of like a 10-year span. Like, he was a beast. And nobody thought that when he was in the minors. They were like, oh, he's going to be like a 270, 280 hitter. He was a perennial 300 hitter every year. All-star every year. Great second baseman every year. Like, you can't really always predict what's going to happen when they get to the MLB. And that's what I see. I see Clint Frazier, and I see someone who's a little flighty in the outfield. I see somebody who has got tremendous body and a build and a great bat speed, but that doesn't always translate to greatness. You need to have the mental side of things too. You can't just go out and always do everything on physical abilities alone.
My issue here is I think we are jumping to conclusions way too quickly about him, because there is also the side of there's the Gary Sanchez side of this, who last year couldn't field half of the balls that came to that were bounced in front of him. And I'll be the first to admit I completely was wrong about that, because I was like, if you're not trading this guy for JT Realmuto, then I don't know what the hell you're doing. Because, this guy's never going to be he's never going to get better at blocking balls. It's never going to happen. Also, he was hurt. Last year was a complete and total disaster for Gary Sanchez.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's the first to admit it on every level. He couldn't hit. He was hurt. He couldn't field.
Yeah.
And this year he looks like an MVP. I mean, he's got to actually somewhat be in the discussion. It's crazy.
Oh, yeah, man. He's
the
leading the home
turnaround
runs.
is crazy. So what I would
Crushing
say
ball.
in terms of Clint Frazier is I do see significant major league level talent there, and I think he needs some time to work it out. If we can be patient with Gary Sanchez, why can't we be patient with Clint Frazier? Maybe that's the argument that I'm trying to make.
Well, because Clint Frazier has never put up numbers like Gary Sanchez.
Clint Frazier hasn't really played enough to have put up.
Gary Sanchez played like 50 games his first year and hit like 20 bombs. I mean, it was outrageous. Like his first year. And Clint Frazier has never done anything like that. And he's played 50 games.
Okay, that's.
So, I mean, you can't, it's just.
That is a terrible comparison. That's not an apples to apples comparison at all.
How?
Because he hasn't, though. Like, Gary Sanchez has been in the league a lot longer. Clint Frazier.
Not in his first year, he wasn't.
You're just taking what, a first 50 game sample?
In his first year, yes.
In his first year.
His rookie year, he played like 50 games and hit 20 bombs.
And then he sucked last year.
He was injured.
Awful.
He was injured.
He was awful last year.
So was Clint Frazier.
He could not field a ball that came near him, and he didn't even hit my weight last year.
And Clint Frazier's been terrible in the outfield his whole career.
But we're going to throw Clint Frazier under the bus?
Yeah.
After what? Because he bobbled a couple of balls last night?
For 3 years, he's been bad in the outfield. In 3 years, he's been bad in the outfield.
This is why people hate Yankee fans.
3 years, he's been bad in the outfield.
He hasn't played in the outfield that much in 3 years.
But he's been bad. That's why he's not playing.
How many games is he? No, that's not.
If he's so good with the bat, then how come he's not playing? If he's so good,
concussed.
Right? He gets hurt all the time too. He gets obliques. He gets concussed. He can't come in. He can't play. But when he plays, he's bad in the outfield.
Why don't we let?
He runs bad routes.
Frazier get the stretch of playing time that maybe
because he gets injured all the time.
You got to still get. Okay, he's not going to recover at some point. Well, then again, it brings me right back to the question. Well, then what the hell is his trade value? He might as well send it back to the market.
It's not up to me to decide that. It's the other teams that decide that.
Yeah, but I still think you're missing the point here. I think the point is that this guy you need a sample size here. I do not believe we have anywhere near. Also, by the way, if we are going on this sample size, all I see is a guy who can hit the ball a ton, and he can hit the ball to the opposite field. And in Yankee Stadium, that's something that could be pretty significant.
Yes.
And pretty important.
I think his value at Yankee Stadium is more valuable than most stadiums.
And right. So if you're the Yankees, why wouldn't you want to retain a guy like that? This guy,
because if you can trade him and have him go to somewhere else and have him go in anonymity and just be terrible, like not be terrible, be okay, but get somebody great and back, why wouldn't you?
But listen,
you have an abundance of outfielders as it is.
Any other team's GM is going to be smarter than we are, and they're going to say this guy's built for Yankee Stadium, not for Giant, not for
a lot of teams make bad decisions.
Stadium.
A lot of GMs make bad decisions because they just want to have that. They see something that somebody doesn't.
I cannot. I refuse to look. I'm really pissed at Clint Frazier last night more than anything for not talking to the media. The errors I can look. He had a bad game. He had a really bad game last night. Major League Baseball players have bad games. We tend not to crucify them for a bad game. But I'm more mad at him for not showing up to the media and being accountable, looking in the camera and saying, you know what? We didn't sweep the Red Sox because of me last night. That's on me. I'm going to get better. I'm going to do everything in my power to get better. You can't go to Jason Zillow and cry and say, I don't want to be in front of a camera after this game. So that part I'm mad about.
Yeah.
The errors, look, I'm going to be patient with that because, again, I'm going to use the Gary Sanchez example and say, hey, I crucified that guy last year, and I'm more than happy to eat crow on it because I wasn't patient enough with Gary Sanchez. Now he's healthy, he's focused, he's clearly made some improvements in the backstop there. He does not let as many balls get by. In fact, I can't recall one time this year where it's been an issue. Maybe very early in the season, he might have let a couple go by. I was like, oh, here we go again. But he's really kind of fixed that. He's addressed it. He's hitting the ball a ton. He is absolutely in the MVP discussion this year. So and I do see a lot of talent with Clint Frazier. A lot. I see, and maybe I'm biased because I like the guy a lot, and I sort of see him as my favorite player. But I do see talent. The guy can clearly hit. He can clearly hit. The fielding woes, I don't know. Maybe he can fix them, maybe he can't. None of us are getting rid of Gleyber Torres, and you've made mention multiple times of how bad he sucks at two different positions.
So what I will say,
I'm not trading him either, though.
But I will say, Gary Sanchez in his career has a .988 fielding percentage as a catcher. Clint Frazier, as an outfielder, has a .955 fielding percentage. That is bad.
It's not great. I will give that to you. It's definitely not great. Oh, that 988 is, wow. That's, sometimes the numbers lie because I think we all know that Gary Sanchez last year behind the plate was hard. That was hard to watch.
He has 8 errors behind the plate this year, and his fielding percentage is .974.
Sometimes the numbers don't match up with the eye test.
But as a catcher, you should be much higher than that. Granted, but as an outfielder, if you're not in the 980s to 990s as an outfielder, he's 955 in his career.
I am not defending what we've seen so far out of his defense, but you cannot deny the bat. And most people are willing to say, I'll sacrifice a little on the defensive side for a guy who can produce and, give me some power and put the ball in the gap. And look, I know that the bat speed is definitely overblown, but I do think it's advantageous for a Yankee who can take advantage of the right field porch with bat speed if he's late on a fastball. That's where I think, and that's why I'm sure Brian Cashman was probably interested in him when he made the trade for him, when he traded Andrew Miller to Cleveland. I'm pretty sure he said, I want that guy because I see potential in terms of what he could do with his bat. The defense, we'll work on it. But look, again, I'm not going to automatically throw this guy away. Now, look, if
you're not throwing him away for Mad Bum.
You're not throwing him away necessarily if that's what you get in return, but it better be Mad Bum.
That's got to be bittersweet for you. I mean, you get rid of Clint Frazier, but you get your favorite player in the league.
It's exactly what I told my brother on the phone the other day. I said it would be. I even used that word. I said it would probably be the most bittersweet trade I can think of because I'd be trading what is in theory my everyday favorite positional player for my favorite pitcher. Yeah, be tough, but you know what? I'll forget all about it if the Yankees have a parade in October or November. I'll forget.
Remember that guy with the red hair? What was his name?
Yeah, I'll forget the guy. By the way, bad job by the New York Daily News and the New York Post this morning. Although I admittedly have not seen the Daily News' cover. I did see the Post's cover. But I don't know how you couldn't write the headline this morning. I don't know, especially given what he did after the game, which was avoiding the media.
Yeah.
How did you not write a headline that said, in big block letters, "Cat got your tongue"? Frazier, I forgot what I wrote, because I wrote like the headline. I did exactly what like the Post of the Daily News was doing. I wrote the big headline, and then I wrote like a subhead, and the subhead was something like, Frazier scatters away from media after outfield blunders, prevent Yankees from sweeping Bo Sox.
Maybe Cashman had like a laser pointer and it was getting him away from the.
But how did you not write the "cat got your tongue" thing after he avoided the media?
Apparently, they don't know him as well as we do.
Oh please, everybody! They were all over him for the cat stuff. Everybody knows. So we got to touch on this real quick, and that's Craig Kimbrell and Dallas Keuchel they can get bought now. I mean, now they can get bought for whatever. They don't have to give up draft picks, nothing like that, and there's no penalties, nothing at all. You can just get these guys, sign them, and all you have to do is pay the cash. Yeah. Where do you think they go? Where do you think do you have an inkling of where they might go? I don't have an inkling, but I have guesses.
Okay, what's your guess?
I think Keuchel, for some reason, ends up in Atlanta. I think Atlanta could really use a starting pitcher, and I think he would just give them a solid rotation guy. I think that would be a nice sort of comfortable landing spot for Keuchel too. Not a ton of pressure. Kind of go into a younger team. He could be sort of a solidifying presence in that rotation, I think. And again, keep in mind that he is almost certain to sign a 1-year deal, a prorated 1-year deal to reestablish his value and go back out into free agency next year. And I think Atlanta would be the kind of park that would maybe play well to his stuff. 'Cause I think Atlanta would give him a good opportunity, and it also provides him with an opportunity to be on a competitive team. And maybe. Who knows? Maybe he could be a key piece that could help them make a postseason run. You never know. I could see him going there. Kimbrell, I absolutely. This one I feel a little bit more confident about, depending on whether or not they're willing to spend the money. Yeah. But I think Kimbrell ends up in Minnesota because that would really be a big piece for them. And let's keep in mind, look what Minnesota's doing this year. If you are Minnesota, you have to be all in, right? You got to be.
Yeah.
You got to be. You're one of if not the best team in baseball. You have to be all in. At this point, you are now past the third marker, the 1/3 mark of the season here.
Yeah.
And they're going to run away with that division because Cleveland just doesn't look like they have it this year. Cleveland's pitching staff's a mess. So if you're the Twins, you got to be all in. And I really think Kimbrell would give that bullpen the shot in the arm that they need and make them a very, very serious contender. That's where I think they They go up. And I don't think Keuchel goes to the Yankees, even though that I've seen that rumor quite a bit. And I even saw one thing that said the Yankees were like the leaders in the clubhouse for him. I don't think that at all. I think that's all smokescreen. I think the Yankees are 100%.
If you're looking to up your value for 1 year, though, I mean, you could really do it, especially in that ballpark, pitching to the right, pitching to the right side.
Without a doubt. But I actually think it's less about the Yankees' interest in him than it would be more about maybe his interest in going to New York. I really think the Yankees are going to hold their chips, whether it's money, whether it's trade chips, whatever. I really think the Yankees are waiting out Mad Bum or Mad Max. I really think because the Yankees, I think, are going to go big game hunting here. Because the Yankees are also in one of those positions where it's like, we've been riddled with injuries all year, and we are still in first place by 2.5 games over Tampa and 8.5 over Boston. We are also in 100% go for it mode. And if we're going to go for it, we're going for it with more than Dallas Keuchel. We're going to get Mad Bum or we're going to get Scherzer.
Yeah, it's tough because, for one, I do see the Yankees as a favorite to get him for Keuchel. I think that he pitching to the proper side of the park, as a left-hander. I think that's very important. And I do think that they are one of the favorites. And I would think that there's a good chance because when you are trying to trade, there's always other teams that are involved, and these teams just hem and haw and wait till the absolute last minute. And I don't think the Yankees want to try and put their eggs all in one basket because, like, if Clint Frazier keeps having these woes in the outfield and has like a terrible month, because he has had month stretches before where he's played poorly. Like, if he has a poor month in a row where he's playing poor, he's playing in the outfield, he's playing terrible, and you have him at bat and he's just striking out left and right. That's really bad. That puts you behind the 8 ball. If you could just go spend the money, get it done, then you have that good pitcher. The problem is, I'm not sure that Keuchel might want to go play for the Yankees. So that's the tough spot.
I have a legit question. Does he want to shave his beard? Is he willing to shave the beard?
I know. We've kind of talked about that in the past, and that's the thing that's like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what he wants to do. I don't know what.
At this point, he's going to have his choice of teams, especially if he's willing to sign a prorated 1-year deal and he doesn't have to shave his beard to go to a contender. Mm-hmm. I would think he wouldn't do it, to be honest. I really would. I know it sounds stupid to be talking about facial hair, but
I'm with you, though.
Honest, that's an antiquated policy that the Yankees have, and if he doesn't have to do that to go somewhere else,
and he can have a chance at winning too. I mean, if he goes to the Twins, that's a great fit.
Go to the Twins too.
Go to the Braves, that's a great fit. I mean, they're going to be in contention.
Guys could end up in the Twins if they really wanted. If they really wanted to make a statement.
Yeah, I mean, and the other one that I think that Kimbrell, I think it would be really smart for Kimbrell to go to the Brewers. I think that really solidifies their bullpen, and then they would just be. They would be.
Yeah,
that'd be a tough team
at the back end there.
Yeah, I mean those are two guys. Because lefty righty. That's just like that would be. Yeah, that'd be tough.
By the way, John Paul Morosi asked Scott Boras if he expects a quick resolution on Dallas Keuchel. Boras' response, this is so stupid. I really can't stand Scott Boras.
He's an idiot.
This was his response. The wine has to decant. Okay. Well, so first of all, Scott, the wine has been decanting for
months,
like 6 months. Okay, like since December. I think
it's been open too long.
At this point, you really can't even drink it.
It might be a more vinegar taste.
Like straight vinegar. Yeah. You need to dump this shit. Sorry. In other words, get the guy on a team, for God's sakes. The wine has to decant. Can we be done with Scott Boras? Can he just retire and let other guys within his agency handle this work? Because he's a disaster. I just can't deal with him anymore. The wine has to decant. Shut up. Just get the guy on a team. Because you filled his head with so much crap in the offseason, and he didn't sign. And you know what, Scott? You're probably one of the reasons why he's unemployed. Because you had unrealistic expectations for him, and you filled his head with that crap, and he bought into it, which is also his fault, about what his market would be, and it wasn't there.
Yeah.
It wasn't there. I'm sure there were offers for him. I'm sure there were offers. There's no way the guy did not get an offer. But if he didn't get an offer, then that really is on Boras, because that means that Boras was so... He must have drawn a very hard line in the sand that says he is not signing with anybody unless you offer at least 5 years at X amount of dollars. And every team was like, oh, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. He's not worth that.
Yeah.
And now you find out what his market is. Now you're saying, well, the wine has to decant. Well, we're going to just field so many offers. So many teams.
I will say Scott Boras did say that he advised Keuchel to take one of the deals.
Did he?
Yeah, he did. And Keuchel said no, it wasn't what he thought he was worth. So obviously Dallas Keuchel head in the clouds a little bit.
Sure. Then that's on the player. In that
but
case.
if Boras could easily just say, "Dude, you're not going to get it. You're not getting any younger. You haven't been pitching to your Cy Young level.
Right.
Take the money.
There
man.
are teams that have serious red flag concerns about who you are at this point in your career, evidenced by the fact that there are pitchers older than you getting, multiple year term deals.
Yeah.
Okay, and you're 31, and you're 2-3 years removed from a Cy Young campaign, and the fact that you're not. What does that tell you? That to me tells you something's wrong.
All right,
here.
So let's move on from there. We touched on that to death, and the Brian Man swore, so that's awesome. And
the good news is we should find out very soon on both of those guys because now the draft pick compensation is removed, and so
I would
they should
be
both move pretty quickly.
shocked if it doesn't happen within this week. I'd be shocked.
Yeah, how could it not?
Yeah.
I mean, it has. I mean, at some point. You're running out of season.
I would be shocked. I would be absolutely shocked if it didn't happen.
Because, I don't care. The other side, too, very quickly with Boras is he said, well, Keuchel's been pitching in all these simulated games, so he's really going to only need a week.
No team is going to, unless he goes and goes to the minor leagues and throws 7 no hit shutout, innings, It's just absolutely dominates. He's not coming up that way.
I would think minimum 2 to 3 starts?
Yeah.
Minimum, right?
Yeah. He'll hit 2 to 3 weeks, 2 weeks probably, 2-3 weeks before he comes back up.
I would say
unless he goes 7 innings, 2 hits, no runs, 9 Ks, and then does the same thing next start, and then he'll be up. It'll be a week. All right.
Kimbrell, on the other hand, could probably hit the ground running a little bit faster.
My guess is he'll be up within a week.
Yeah, within a week.
Yeah. I don't know what his routine has been off the season, but yeah, I'm guessing within a week. Quick question, Keith Sherry. A friend of the show, a friend of mine, also a friend of my brother's. He asks, what he said, AEW talk? ?
Oh, AEW.
Real quick, just go over it real quick. This is, I was like, what the heck is that? He said the new WCW. I said, oh, interesting. So I said, I'll ask the Bry Man. Give us your quick thoughts.
All Elite Wrestling, I think is what it stands for. It's basically the company that is sort of headed by Cody Rhodes. That is, I don't know if they're trying to compete per se with WWE. I think what they're trying to do is just get a piece of the market. But they are certainly acting, especially on social media and even on their first pay-per-view event, like they are trying to compete with WWE. They sent some pretty loud messages on that first pay-per-view, specifically Cody Rhodes destroying a throne that looked very much like a Triple H kind of throne.
Oh, God.
And was clearly trying to send a message to WWE. Here's the one thing, though, I will say about AEW. They do have some talent. There's definitely talent there. Cody Rhodes is definitely a talent. He's probably getting to the point in his career where he's transitioning from everyday talent to more like almost figurehead-ish kind of status. Almost even like not quite Triple H status where he's like, the COO kind of guy. But I think he's established himself as sort of the face of AEW. But they brought in some talent. Kenny Omega is an absolute stud, a total star who I really wish had gotten to WWE. But I actually think they offered him a deal, and I think he turned it down. I don't think he wanted to go there. And I can kind of understand why in some ways. But Kenny Omega is the guy. Chris Jericho is in AEW. He's a big part of it.
The cat. Again, your cat's in the background.
There's always cats in the background. It's one of Clint Frazier's. But Jericho is a big, is a pretty big part of the company. They just got Jon Moxley, the artist formerly known as Dean Ambrose, from WWE. I think he's gonna play a significant role there. He'll certainly be an AEW champion. I would love to see AEW compete with WWE. And I will tell you that if ever there was a time for it, this is the right time. WWE's ratings are at an all-time low. They're really bad.
Are they really?
Really bad. The product is bad right now. And I was just at, and I'm sure Keith will be pretty excited to hear this, over the weekend, I was actually at NXT TakeOver 25 in Bridgeport on Saturday night. And I have to tell you, the gap between the finished product of what NXT is versus WWE is not even close. NXT is a superior product on every possible level.
Wow.
They're better at storytelling. They're better at wrestling. They're better at keeping things simple and not overthinking things. They don't need to have guys in the back tipping over cars or dumpsters or fire trucks or ambulances, ripping door. And I'm not trying to pick on Braun Strowman here because I actually love Braun Strowman. But they don't have to do silly, goofy crap like WWE does to have a superior and very, very, very high quality product. NXT keeps it simple. And the reason why actually they're so good is because Triple H runs NXT. Vince has almost nothing to do with NXT, which is great. That's the best thing for them. I'll give you an example too. Like WWE right now, this Friday at 2 o'clock Eastern, they have their WWE, their Saudi Arabia Super Show there, okay? Which also is horrible on WWE to do that. They should not be in Saudi Arabia. That is a complete and total disaster. But Vince is never going to leave money on the table. There's multiple millions of dollars to be lost here. So Vince is never going to let that go just because, the prince over there killed one of our journalists. He's not going to give a crap about that. He's going to go there and he's going to make his money. But just a perfect example, if you look at that card for this Super Show, it's terrible. Like the headline matches for the card at this show are Undertaker versus Goldberg, which, by the way, is a match that would have been great about 15, 16 years ago, okay? Between the two of those guys, they're well over 100 years old. And then the other big match is Triple H versus Randy Orton. Stop me if you haven't heard that one before. And NXT is so great. There's so many, it's just, the action is so good. The wrestlers are so good. These guys are talented. The women are talented. The tag teams are amazing. NXT blows WWE out of the water. And that is really embarrassing for Vince because NXT should be your minor leagues and WWE should be the pros. But look, getting back to AEW, time is right. Time is perfect for them. Maybe they can make a dent here. The one thing that will hurt AEW probably is, I think, the pay-per-view aspect. It's tough because you're in an era now where WWE has had for like 4 or 5 years now, the WWE Network, where you're paying $9.99 a month and you get all your pay-per-views included, and it practically feels like it's free. Look, I don't even notice that $10 a month that automatically comes off my credit card for WWE Network. I don't. It's like, it's nothing. With AEW, you're asking people to pay $50 a pop. Okay. And that's going to be tough because we're in this era where pay-per-view, especially in wrestling, is kind of a bygone thing because, again, you're paying nothing. And you get WWE and you get NXT. Mm-hmm. And not to mention their library of endless content. Some original, some older. I mean, I think that's going to be tough, is trying to get people. I'm sure you can get guys together, have a party of 5 guys and split it, 5 ways, $10 a piece. But, that's not easy to do these days anymore either. So, I think the timing is right, but I think if I were AEW, I would try and cut that pay-per-view cost down a little bit to try and get more buyers. But from a talent perspective, AEW's got a lot of talent there. Kenny Omega should absolutely be the guy that you're building this whole thing around and trying to compete as best you can with WWE. The funny part is NXT is better than all of them.
I'll tell you what's funnier.
NXT is a superior product.
King Hippo is a champion.
King Hippo is the boxing heavyweight champion of the world. That over the weekend, I will tell you, that was as close to probably Buster Douglas Tyson as I think we'll probably get.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I was surprised how quick Ruiz was. I was surprised. He was he was in there, and he was it was good.
We were talking about that before we started, and I will say that big guys being quick like that never surprises me, especially in the era of the NFL when offensive and defensive linemen can run like 4.4 combines.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't get too shocked by that. But
now, everybody was talking about the Drake curse too.
But dude, Drake curse is. It's really it's
like the Kardashian curse.
I saw it. I saw the picture he took, and then next thing you know, and that guy took that picture specifically, I think, to say, "Look, I'm taking a picture with Drake. I'm gonna go defend the title. Curse ain't real." And then you lost to a guy, and that's probably the other reason why he took the picture, because he was like, "There's no way I'm losing to this guy. I'm not losing to Twinkie over here. Twinkie the kid ain't beating me." And then he lost.
Twink Hippo.
And Drake. I don't care what you say, man. The Drake curse is legit.
Like Kardashian curse. That's legit too.
I mean, look. What are the curses that we think we know about? The Madden curse, the SI cover curse, the Drake curse, the Kardashian curse. I think Drake takes the cake. I really do.
Drake's cakes.
I think that's.
I love me some Drake's cakes.
By the way, you're welcome, Keith. Believe me, I'm more than happy to talk about wrestling anytime you want me to.
All right, so that's pretty much it for the show today. We talked all NBA Finals. We talked the Yankees, Red Sox, more Yankees and Red Sox. We talked Kimbrell, Keuchel. We talked about a lot today. Of course, 75% sports and then 25% sorts. I would say that wrestling is kind of on the sports side. It's a sport, but it's dramatic. It's like it's sports soap opera is what it is. So it's Drake's hashtag
sports entertainment. That's what they call it.
All right. So we have finished our show. We will see you again probably on Friday afternoon. I have to play golf on Thursday, so I think Friday's going to work for me. I think that's pretty much it for our show. I think that's it. That's it, right?
Come to the end of the program, and to quote the immortal Tony Stark, part of the journey is the end. So we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us. Stay classy, Planet Globe.
Love you, 3000. I want some cheeseburgers. We got any cheeseburgers?
Many cheeseburgers as you want, kid.
Okay. www.sportsandsorts.libsyn.com, where you can find all our social media, and you can find all of our previous podcasts. Find podcasts wherever podcasts are played. Our podcast is wherever podcasts are podcasted, and podcasts. I'm not even a low blood. That's the crazy thing. But anyway, find me on Twitter at @EinhornerSfinkel.
Find me on Twitter at @the_Bry_.
We will see you again on Friday.
I will answer you.
10-ish.
Yeah, probably.
10-ish.
Yeah, that's
That's about right. 10-ish. Bye. Hashtag Drake's Cakes.